I don't like that.
No.
This is too much.
Well, I was over there, but my ears spinning, I don't.
Yeah, but you're not as obvious, that one spot that we all get hit is,
Well, when I sit there, all I see is my balls.
well, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We all get it.
always see it, but if I were there, it's all.
We should rotate.
Oh, there.
There it is. Mm-hmm.
You don't have it.
I do, today is a good day.
Yeah.
I have it.
See, if I were there, I'd be this much taller too, so.
That's true.
It's really.
It's true, I can mow it.
We're always.
More screaming, yeah, you got right there.
We're good street. House down.
There we go. I don't like how this remote is fingers.
Is it?
To go right, you gotta click left.
Oh.
I don't know why that happened. It happened to close down a couple weeks ago.
I'm online.
Hello.
Do I have a? I do have a, I was like, I don't even know if my report says.
You should.
I do, it's right here.
No, I was gonna say you should be able to read it. So I think everyone's got something to that. What's up?
I'm the only public so far.
So far, I know.
I know, we're. Clock is ticking.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want your packet or do you wanna wait till it's done?
I'll take it.
We're just missing the fire district. now.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, that's.
Yeah.
That was cheap.
Just somewhere over there.
Soon.
I grab it. Sign in, Mr. Boscraft.
It's backwards that makes it loosens it up, right?
I think so, no, what do you wanna do?
Make the back looser.
Yeah.
think
I definitely do.
No,
Did it the wrong way?
it's this, try it again now.
Oh, that's much better, thank you.
You're
Daniel.
welcome. Which one is it? It's this,
I got her number.
see this flap on the right side? You just, no, it's like a flap and it goes forward and back,
There we
not
go.
the crank.
Not the crank.
No, next to the crank.
Next, yeah.
Right here.
I want the flap.
There you go. So you push it, oh, that.
What does it do? What does, I want
It
to
makes
that.
the back looser.
It makes the back, yeah, it makes it
I
recline.
should have asked that.
And then if you
It's
push
so
the flap forward, then you can't
Oh, I
push
like
back
it.
as far.
Remember that time I went to. the-
Yeah. The very
That
beginning.
was a good one. I was so shy, I didn't know what, remember that one?
Yeah.
Oh, that was hilarious. Well, they're all just cracking me down there for the rest of the meeting. I wish there was a video of that.
No.
Did you say good morning?
Dinner time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Township Board for November 12, 2025 at 6 p.m. Anybody on Zoom? So our next order of business is roll call. Resolution.
No, go. Or you can just say, well, except.
Roll call, everyone's here except for Big Bird.
Do you wanna do the pledge of
Oh, I
allegiance?
see, there's the. place.
Yeah, it's called the order, you do it at the,
Here.
yeah.
Two, four.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reports. Mr. Howard.
Oh, well, that was quick. All right, treasurer's report for November 12th, 2025. So our cash on hand as of October 31st was $838,000 in the general account, bank account. It's 28,000 lower than October. There's two significant payments made last month. One was $200,000 to the Allegan County Road Commission. There's another one, if you went through the detail, $600,000 to Huntington Bank, and that was actually a pass-through. We had two CDs that matured, so they gave us the cash back, and then we purchased two new products and the cash went. So that was an even split. General fund stands at 22% of revenues collected, based on the whole year, and 24% of expenses paid per 2026 fiscal year budget. And both of those numbers, the revenue and the expense, are 10 to 12% behind the budget amount. So we're still running pretty tight, good shape. Let's see. Oh, and I'll point out when we get to the consent agenda, there were two bills that came in after the close of preparing this that we needed to pay, so they're not on the detail. They only totaled $16,000, and the biggest one was to pay for our audit, which was recently. So we're in tax year 25. Just finished. Reminder tax notices, the deal that hadn't paid have been sent out. And we did have also in the consent agenda, there were disbursements made in October totaling $348,000. And we're in full swing preparing the tax bills for the winter that go out December 1st. On the investment front, last month I gave the detail for the quarterly report. Just know that as of October 31st, our total investments stood at $6.98 million. And I told you we just made two purchases for two that have matured. And yeah, that's the only news on the investment front. But it's all good.
What?
And,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, it's okay.
No, I was just wondering, what's the rate,
For
for the CDs, do you know? Just,
the ones that,
yeah.
oh, the new
just-
ones?
Yeah, do you remember? or-
oh, I
I was just curious.
think I do have that here.
Oh, don't worry, I just.
No, because we actually, for the first time, we purchased a commercial paper, which we've done before, which is a different kind of investment. And it's there on my list here. Let's see, there. As you know, rates have gone down.
Yes, that's what I was curious.
That's one thing nice. Commercial papers are for shorter term, and they pay a little higher than a CD would, but then I think it's next April we're gonna have to. do
Oh,
this.
okay. Don't worry about it, I thought you had it somewhere. They're new off the top of your head.
There. Everything's close or lower than 4%.
Right.
Because of what's going on in the bigger picture of things. I did want to point out just on the operational front, we're now participating through Huntington Bank with what's called Positive Pay. That is a system that the Michigan Municipal Treasurers Association strongly recommends. We had not done it before. It's a new layer of security. So every morning you will get from the bank, these are the checks that have been presented to you, to us, are they legit? There's been a lot of fraud statewide. We've never had that, but we're using Positive Pay now. And it's like a very tiny fee per check to set. It's not like a subscription fee. So we were blessed to make that step forward, and that's the treasurer's report.
Okay. Thank you. Planning Commission report. The Planning Commission last meeting was held on October 21. And there were two action items on the agenda.
One was the cement and asphalt recycling plant over here in the golf cart. And that proposal was postponed for more information. The planning commission wanted more information for that project. And then the rezoning for the Pine Creek Trail area on Sugar Road, I believe it is. The planning commission voted to recommend to the board to deny that request. And that was it for the planning. And then we have the manager report.
I don't really have any specific things, I mean, you have it, we are talking with our engineer about road plans for next year. So we do have a road capital improvement plan for the roads, which is good, so we're going to be following that. There's one road that I've kind of called out with the engineer that we had slated for not only repaving, but widening the shoulders at 63rd. I recently drove it, talked to some people who were walking it. I'm not necessarily confident that's the greatest recommendation. I know that specific recommendation is before my time, and I talked with Dana Berg when he was still our engineer about that. And it was really because the township was at that time kind of struggling to expend all the funds in the road fund. Now that the voters had approved a change to the millage language, which allows us to utilize those funds for non-motorized infrastructure, sidewalks, pedestrian safety improvements. We have a lot more on our plate, and so I don't know if that project is something that we want to make a move on now. It's something that we could wait on. 63rd is still in fairly good shape, so we might recommend moving ahead with the other projects we had slated for that year, but hold off on 63rd and just think about it a little longer before we make a big change to that road that you can't undo. So that's going on with roads, and then a lot of park improvement projects. Dog park is pretty much done. We have some punch list items, which includes some general cleanup of brush. So if you see that around, that's on the to-do list. We still have a split rail fence that needs to go in by a retention area. The retention area needs to be seeded. There's a gate that's gonna go in, but it's pretty much done, and I think it's looking pretty good. And then work is started on Sundown Park. I didn't include this in my my report, but I have put together a grant request with the Convention and Visitors Bureau for $10,000 to help fund part of the improvements at Sundown Park. The Parks Commission is going to pursue this kind of crowd fund raising program through the MEDC called Public Spaces Community Places. So essentially it's a 1-to-1 match from the MEDC. So if you raise 10,000, they'll match that. And you can raise up to 50,000. So I'm going to be going to different organizations in the community, seeing who is willing to donate. We'll set that program up. So hopefully whatever we can raise through the community, we can double that, and that will go to the Sundown Park project. We have never applied for a grant through the CDB, so this will be our first one. It's gonna be a little bit of an uphill battle. It'd be interesting because the CDB traditionally focuses on the downtown areas, and I'm making an argument that in developing our area as a destination, that we need to be thinking not just about the downtowns, but outside the downtowns, because that rural character really does define our area. So we'll see how they think about that. And I do want to thank everyone who participated in the Riverside Cemetery Comes Alive. So thank you, John. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Jackie, for participating. Thanks everyone to the at the History Center. I thought it was a huge success. We had a debriefing, talked about a lot of things that went well, things that did not go well. I think the consensus is that people want to see it again next year. So we'll hopefully try to pull that off, and then maybe some of the improvements at the cemetery will be complete for next year, so we'll get to show those off as well, but a lot of great press from that. So we had a interview with Shelley Irwin, we were on 13 by Your Side Live, so that was kind of fun to be there with the History Center and just kind of work on building that relationship, because there's definitely opportunities there in the future. So any other questions, happy to answer about our report.
I'd like to add to that, just thank you for all you did working with Eric. And I think that Stacy and I, we were thrilled to be there, but a little taken aback. We got there 15 minutes before the doors opened. And the line was from our table all the way back to Clearbrook Drive. I don't think anyone expected over 200 people to show up.
No,
I was hoping for 50.
yes,
So
same,
it was a smashing success. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Now I'd like to open the public comment period of the meeting. That means people can come up to the podium, talk for 3 minutes. Extension up to 5 minutes, maybe granted. Extension will not interfere with conduct of board business, or other persons who also need to address the board. Each person is asked to identify themselves and their address. Persons representing an organization or group shall indicate whether their comments reflect the official view of the organization or group. Is there anybody in the first row that would like to come up and make a public comment?
I have a question. If I wanted to comment related to a subject, I think it's on your agenda for number 13. Would I comment now or wait until that after it comes up?
Is it a public hearing?
There is no public hearing, but Mr. Bograd is the applicant, so it probably would be appropriate.
Okay,
So now or then?
later.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
But it is a good reminder to anyone else in the public who is not, that there is no public hearing for the rezoning item, so if they want to make a comment about that.
Yeah, this would be the time to make that comment. Is there anybody that would like to make a comment on anything on the agenda?
Thanks, guys. Brad Lubbers, County Commissioner. Couple of quick things in the report. So I reported this before, but we haven't passed our budget. The only thing we're still up in limbo on, as we all know, is the federal budget is still shut down, and hopefully, maybe this evening, the House might pass a vote to send it to President Trump to get signed, but we'll see what happens, but you can be rest assured that any federal monies that we may have not gotten or may not get, we have about a 22% fund balance for the county, so we have contingencies in that event, so it'll be okay, and I'm confident that once the government is open, that all those monies will be returned what should have been, so not a big deal as far as that goes. November 1st, I had the opportunity to attend the Pier Cove grand opening ribbon cutting ceremony just south of here, so it's kind of neat to see the work. Years worth of work the volunteer committee and the Saugatuck Township board has done to rejuvenate that park and just add to the specter of the tourism of the area. All of that means, so. The Economic Development Commission has officially been dissolved. They voted the last time they met in October to dissolve. And you might ask why, and this is why. So they were formed years ago, well, long before my time, for the express purpose of increasing the viability of the economics, jobs, business expansion for the entire county. Now, they've fulfilled that mission. And now that Lakeshore Advantage has been a part of us, and Allegan and Ottawa County, they kind of do the same thing. So there's some redundancy that's going on, which is great. I mean, we love what they do as well. But it was deemed that they were not necessary and they had fulfilled their objective and they decided to be no more. So that's done. So, and there still will be the Tourist Council that will do the tourist aspect of it. So, but that is officially done. Recently, the Sarah Clark and the county emergency manager was recognized with a 2025 Team Achievement Award of the Michigan Emergency Management Association Conference. for their work on the Holtec Palisades restart. Just hours and hours and nights and weekends and forms and information that they had to do to get that done. So that kudos to them for all the work they put in to do that. Then the last thing I wanted to touch on was the last board meeting, we had an initial discussion on brownfield development changes or possibilities. I know you guys have discussed that here a little bit, but just wanted to bring it up in a report that, you know, we are looking into what that might look at from our end, from a board of commissioners, whether there's minimum standards, whether or not, or whether it's just a pass through. You know, obviously you as a board would have to authorize the tip aspect of it first and then go to the brownfield development commission, work with them, and then the board of commission would have to approve any project that goes through, but we are looking at all of those, and there's at least 4 or 5 in consideration around the county. You know, at the moment, so, but it's a positive step for the projects that no longer do not have to be environmentally disturbed, let's say, you know, now can be used for projects that are for housing, so it's a useful tool that is out there, if approved by us as a county and by the state.
We probably got potential one in the 4 to 5.
I was, yes, but there are other ones,
I know,
not just here. Douglas has one,
I'm sure,
and
I'm sure.
so
It's a good change.
it is, and I hope there's not a lot of resistance from the state on some of it, but we'll see. I mean, it sounds like the state is pretty open to, that's the reason they made the changes. They're pretty open to allowing, everybody is well aware that we're short on housing. Right, whatever that means. That's another discussion for another day, but you know, this is another avenue to pursue that. So anyway, that's all I have. Let's see if there are any questions. So, thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you, Brad.
For anybody else in the audience that would like to speak? Being none, we'll close. Oh, is there anybody on Zoom?
Scott, go ahead and unmute yourself. Oh, wait, hold on. You might not be able to.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Scott Waringa, 6618 Dugout Road. And I've got 27 acres right across from the project that Scott Bosgraf is requesting rezoning. I did send in a letter. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make this meeting online or not, but I'll just go ahead and read what I wrote if that's okay. So I'm writing to express my, or I'm wanting to express my support for Scott Bosgraf's application for rezoning of his property on Dugout Road from R2 to R1. I did watch the Planning Commission meeting where they decided to deny the application. I believe that Scott made adequate arguments and his request was reasonable. I'm right across the street with 27 acres. I'm going to be looking at this every weekend when I'm out there. So I kind of have, I feel like my say should have or be considered. But the reality of the situation is Scott has enough property there to go ahead with 5 building sites that meet the R2 requirements by simply changing the shape and size of the lots and making them a little bit deeper, and then lot 5 not quite as wide. He has indicated that he has no intent to put multifamily homes, as is obvious by his condo bylaws as they were provided. I care about that a lot. I really want just single family homes there. 4 septic systems versus 5 is really not an issue on 4.32 acre sandy, or on 4.32 acres of sand. While there are some nice mature trees on that site, the sites are not densely wooded, and obviously some trees will need to be removed, whether it's 4 homes or 5. Doesn't seem to me to be a very big issue. I did, as I said, I watched the Planning Commission meeting, and it felt to me like the decision to deny was mostly out of frustration that Scott would not or has not explained his future plans for the Pine Trail Camp property. And while I can see committee members being frustrated with this, to me, it didn't seem a reasonable justification to deny. The other thing is it seems slightly short-sighted for the township to give up the property tax revenue from having 5 homes on the site versus 4. And then again, the thing that I really appreciate is that Scott has indicated through the bylaws that he does not intend to have short-term rentals there, which would be something as a neighbor right across the street, I would really like not to see. So I've just really appreciated seeing what Scott has done, with the condos along the lake shore, or along the riverside. And I just really hope that you would give consideration to his application. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Is there anybody else on Zoom?
If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand.
Try to unmute anybody or ask to unmute?
There's no hand raised.
No. Some people don't know how to raise their hands. Maybe Joe, I don't know about username, but maybe Joanne.
You want me to unmute?
Yeah, see if I think, yeah,
No, I'm good, thank you.
there we go.
Perfect, thank you.
All right.
Okay, seeing that we're at the end of the public comment period, I'd like to close that public comment period and move on to the agenda. Anybody have any changes, additions, or corrections to the agenda? And if not, I will create a motion.
I'll move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll support.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 4-0. We move on again to the consent agenda. These are things that are routine and have been previously discussed and covered. Routine things like the minutes. But we don't need to go into great detail. Does anybody have any corrections or changes to the consent agenda?
I would like just to add a clarification in bills to be paid. It's on page 4 of 8 of the invoices. It's the invoice from Next Gen. You'll see it's a larger invoice. It's for $62,671.05. And then it's broken out from there for $52,461.79, and then $145, and then $9,884.26. So this is related to improvements at the dog park. So we broke this out, so the improvements that are specifically related to the dog park correspond with that $52,641.79. Through the process, we did have to make some unexpected changes. So for instance, the road commission determined that the entrance to the park is actually a commercial road, not a private drive, which required substantial modifications to the entrance in the right-of-way area. So that's what that number is, that $9,884.26. So I'm proposing that go to the road fund because it was for specific changes that had to occur to the drive in order to be compliant with the road commission standards. And then for a public hydrant, it was called to our attention that it does not have a marker. Prior, the township did not have a community standard that required a hydrant marker. We've since updated that to require markers. That one didn't, so we installed a marker at $145. That would be approved by this body and would go to the water fund. So I just wanted to highlight that those are the two items that you would be approving with the bills, not the $52,000 line.
Okay. Any other changes or comments regarding the consent agenda? If not, I would do to get a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll support.
Moved by Marcy. Motion by Alder, support by Marcy. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. The next item, judiciary oversight, was not, there's no topic there for that, nothing for policy, legislative action, nothing. Strategic discussions and actions, not applicable. Professional development, no items. Other unfinished business, no items. Other new business, this is, the first item is the dugout wall rezoning request. So if the applicant would like to step to the podium and talk about this application.
Scott Bascraft. Down there from North Shores, representing the opinion of North Shores, and I guess also of Scott Bascraft. I live at 6766 Saugatuck Beach Road, which ironically is in North Shores. So I think our interests are probably aligned. The request that is before you today is obviously to either confirm what the planning commission already decided or to rule differently. And I think historically, I don't remember the board ever ruling differently other than maybe on the marijuana stuff a long time ago, one time. So I realized this is a bit of a long shot. But I thought maybe a better understanding of what the request was, or at least that you understood what the request was. So the request was the ability to maybe get some affordable housing in the township, make it available. So creating 5 lots on a street that already exists, hooked up to a water main that already exists, and making up 5 lots at 30,000 square feet instead of 5 lots at 40,000 square feet, uses less land that could be used for something else later. That seemed like, combined with being a shoulder kind of to the North Shore project, which has a bit of a higher end price range, this seemed like a good entry level and a good way to probably get a really clean, affordable product for the neighborhood. And I think the gentleman before me mentioned that there's a bit of a shortage of housing. And I have children that are experiencing that also, and it's finding it that's affordable, you know, even if they've got decent jobs and make decent money. But us as developers, if I gotta put in a road, and then I gotta put in water, and then I gotta use up a huge chunk of land, it's never gonna be achievable. So that's what the goal was, and quite frankly, I thought it was gonna be a simple ask, because as Scott Wieringa pointed out, it was, the neighbor is already R1 on all sides, other than the property that North Shore owns, which is the remainder of the parcel that would be left over, which is R2, so it isn't inconsistent. But when I listened to the write-up and it goes, this is a future land use as a green space preserve. I sometimes wonder if that should maybe be updated. It isn't zoned green space preserve property, it's zoned R2. I mean, it's going to be developed residential. I mean, it's not going to be green space preserve. So it seems like we started out behind the ball already. But what it wasn't, you know, it wasn't an application in front of you for a PUD with a super high density where we were going to try to put 20 home sites on a little piece of land that already had road frontage and already had water there, because that would be the smart developer, highest return on our investment. And that's not what it was. And I realized, and Lene pointed out that, hey, if we went from R2 to R1, we can put 2 family there. I said, well, that's really easy. We're gonna make them condominium home sites. I'll give you the condo docs in advance, and we'll put the condo division, you know, immediately after the meeting for the rezone. So if you rezone it, here's the condo and here's the docs that are approved. There are no 2 family. It's a single family dwelling per lot. And I'm not a huge fan of rentals, and I think it's soft in a neighborhood like that, and I don't think the neighborhood would appreciate the rentals, so we put a restriction in there that didn't allow it. I think Scott Wieringa, the neighbor across the street that seems to really pay attention, recognized that, and he didn't attend the meeting, he didn't have the letter at the meeting. And quite frankly, I was out of town and I couldn't hear the meeting, but I did talk at the meeting. I couldn't always tell how things were going, but obviously they didn't go well. So that's kind of what the request was and what it wasn't. I think when I read the write-up that's in front of you today, there was a note in there, something about that North Shore's already taken the trees down that were protected, and I think it's worth clarifying. And North Shore did take trees down, just, and actually assisted you guys widening the road by taking trees down that were all protected trees, they fit your definition. But any of the trees that we took down were allowed to be taken down by the exceptions that are actually written in your ordinance. If they're 25 feet within a structure, if they're dead and decayed, if they fall over the power lines 3 times in a row, and then you find out that they're all dead on the side and hollowed out, and they're gonna create, you know, some sort of health problem or physical harm, they go down. And we didn't take a lot of trees down. We didn't go there with a purpose to clear cut any property. And quite frankly, your neighbors that walk out there, quite often that I meet out there, don't even realize we took any trees down because there's still a lot of trees in that area. In fact, we just had another one go down last weekend or whatever at the corner. Unfortunately, it was actually across the street for once. So I realize I'm sitting here and it's an unusual request and you've only done something different one time. And I don't know what today really means, but I just think that I thought it was a simple request and I thought it was something that actually would be good for the township. The alternative is to just come in with a PUD and have my brother or Coochies or somebody come back here and jam a bunch of houses in on the road and something that has water already, but that's personally not something I like. And don't want to see, but if we keep trying to push these lots really big and making us do it, then it's going to turn into that eventually. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Any questions for the applicant?
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone that would like to make a motion?
I move to deny ordinance 2025-09. An ordinance to amend the zoning map of Saugatuck Township to rezone a portion of the parcel known as 3525 Dugout Road from R2 to R1.
Is there support for that motion? Motion is to deny.
Right.
Is there any support for that motion?
Can I ask a question?
Do you want a second before we go into discussion?
Yeah, that would be best if we had a second. Thank you, Mr. Helmrich. Motion by Aldrich, support by Helmrich. Is there any further discussion? Now would be the time to ask the question.
I don't know if this would be Jackie or Scott, but just, can somebody just give me a little more information on this, the comment that Scott made, and it's also in the review standards. The request is not consistent with the green space preserve section of future land use development of the master.
Well, I think my understanding, is that right?
Yeah, you can do it.
Sorry, my understanding is at one time you had a group that got together, that was a tri-community master plan. I'm assuming that's what we're
Right.
talking about. And that was when the Dennison property was still the Dennisons, and it was in play about who could buy it or what we're gonna do with it. And so I think it was a community goal at the time that this thing would turn into a park and it'd never be developed in it. But that didn't happen. The tri-community plan has never been updated since then. The property is sold, we've developed it, we have intentions to develop it. We bought the camp, and we have intentions to develop it. It got folded in kind of to the same area because it was camp and they're attached, I believe. my thought would be is why as a tri-community plan updated because it's not a green space preserve. And it won't be a green space preserve. So whether I came in and said I wanted to build an ice cream shack and sell ice cream cones, it wouldn't be consistent with the green space reserve. If I said I wanted to build single family homes on 40,000 square foot lots, it would not be consistent with green space. There's nothing I could do other than say we're gonna do nothing, put in a land conservation easement and make it a park. And that's not our intention. So we're behind the 8 ball, I feel, every time that I come in with something because I don't meet that criteria, and it's the first thing that you read on the underwriting review that Lene writes it. It just doesn't seem to be completely fair. And then you get the planning commission that, you know, are quite often, it's in the weeds or it's a box of chocolates and we get off in another world about what it could have or should have been, and we lose track of what we're really there for. That. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, can I say something?
Sure.
Yeah, I guess I can do that. Jackie Brown's 32 and 36 Lower Merlane, Saugatuck. It's a matter of changing from R2 to R1. It's riverfront water property. It's a matter of the difference in density from R2 to R1. That was the main reason why we denied it. It is waterfront property. It's lower density because it's near the river. And we voted to not change it to R1 with a higher density close to the water. That was the reason. That was the main driving.
Okay, so it's
It's next to the river. It's
on the other side of Dugville Road. So this car.
it's R2.
It is today, yes.
Yeah.
But it is on the other side of Dugville Road, it would have no frontage on the road.
But that's,
Okay,
that happens.
can you please just address the board?
Sure.
Thank you.
Tim, do you want me to weigh in on
Yes,
Brenda's
that would help.
question?
Please.
So thank you, Morgan, for pulling up the future land use map. So you can see it's kind of like upper center. That is the former Pine Trail Camp property in the green, and it, for the future land use map, it was designated as green space preserve. And then you can see underneath it, that was designated for medium to high density, single family and multi-residential property. There is something to be said that this map could be updated because actually the property to the south is conservation easement. It's over 20 acres. And then you can see that it's actually a huge swath of land that's in that green. To Scott's point, like I don't have a definition on hand of what that green space preserve is. My guess is though that some of that green is preserved, is straight up preserved. So we have like Talmadge Woods in there and the Saugatuck Natural Harbor area. But there's also residential areas in the city of Saugatuck. And so my understanding would be that that area would probably be prioritized for preserve, but if not for preserve, there would be a desire to see low density in those areas. You know, I think it's a question of whether, you know, if we updated the future land use map, which we all agreed in our strategic planning session that was something that we want to do, update the whole master plan, including the future land use map. We probably want to make some changes. I don't know if one of those changes would be to say that that's low density. But that's just kind of an explanation that like right now, the future land use map has it as green space preserve. You could interpret that as strictly as preserve, but I would say that there are areas in that future land use area that have been developed, but are probably consistent with low density development.
Thank you.
What was the other thing you said? It says medium to high density.
Yeah, so you can see it's that orange.
Okay.
Yep, and so directly south of the property is medium to high density, but that's not even reflective of what exists because most of that area is the McEnroe conservation easement. So it actually should be that green, cause it is a preserve. So it's not, yeah, I would say that like, could this be more reflective of reality? Yeah. The intention behind it probably was that the green should be low density. That's my reading of it. I could be wrong, but that's just my input for the board.
I would agree that, I believe that's what the planning commission based their decision on, that it's not consistent with the master plan, and it is higher density in that area that's future mapped is lower density.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that like, I don't think that Scott's ask is like in any way like absurd, because we could say that there's a water main there that we spent a lot of money putting in. And it would be another connection fee and user on that system, and that it is near other single family sites. The sites in the Van Horn development are 1 acre sites. I did look into that. Which is consistent with the R2, which is the 40,000 square feet, so that's a little under an acre. But you might also say that like that water main, if you were at the planning commission meeting, we had a very frustrated resident who lives on Riverside Road and was upset that we replaced the water main because it really wasn't like, solid, thoughtful municipal planning that resulted in that water main. It was people in the 1930s and the 40s extending a garden hose to service their cabins in the summertime, and that just could not continue, and that's why we had to replace it. So, I think there's a lot of reasons that make sense why North Shore would request the change. I would say though that the future land use map also indicates that would be desirable, or the vision is for it to be low density. So you can do with that as you like.
Thank you. Did that answer your question?
Somewhat, yeah,
Somewhat?
yeah, it. It sounds like it was more about the R2 to R1.
Mhm. That's what the request was,
Mm-hmm.
to rezone.
I'm just afraid to just rezone things, after the planning commission has spent such a long time working on it, I have to trust that they looked at everything when they had their meetings, and, I mean, I did watch. And I don't know, they kind of explained why, and as much as I feel that it wouldn't be the most horrific thing going here, I really don't, but I just don't like voting against the planning commission recommendations,
And we went through a 3-year review of our entire zoning ordinance.
Right.
And issues like two-family versus single were addressed in great detail and expense.
Originally, that was a problem on our street.
That it was,
It was zoned, it is R2, correct?
I believe Lorimar is R2.
Yes, but do you remember the request for duplex?
Oh, yes.
And one part had said, yes, it was, and one part said. it was yes.
Yes.
So that, I mean, yeah, to redo though, they needed to be redone. So.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, I will call the roll. Aldrich?
No. No,
No.
no, I say yes or no.
The motion is to
Yes or
adopt.
do not, yeah.
Okay, Marcy,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Osmond, yes, motion passes 4-0. Moving on to the township hall bid awards and change orders. Mr. Crystal.
Okay, so it's the moment that we've all been waiting for the renovation to the exterior of the site of the township hall. So, to kind of set this up, Progressive, who we've hired, not only as the architect, but also as acting as their general contractor, put the project out to bid, and this is a little different than when we did the interior renovation. So they put it out to bid for all of the subcontracting work, so we have about 13 different subcontractors that have been awarded or could potentially be awarded for tonight, that bid, and we have many more bidders. But with all of that work, plus the professional fees being charged by Progressive, the total for the renovation, including funds that have already been expended, comes to $1,541,459.45, which is smack dab in the middle of what Progressive had projected, which was at the low 1,511,000, at the high 1,575,000. This does include a deduct for design services, so we did not use all of the budget in the design phase. However, Progressive did say that we went over budget in the engineering phase, so essentially we went from recladding the building to actually constructing a canopy that wraps around the building, which is a lot more in engineering work. So it was about a $46,000 overage, and we came to a suggestion that we cover 50% of that and that Progressive eat 50% of that. So that $23,000 overage or additional engineering fee is included in the $1.541 million estimate or bid. So there's that. Now, I have done some planning in terms of where the money is gonna come for this. You know, we have an established capital improvement fund. We were able to add a substantial amount to that last fiscal year. We have money set aside to go into that capital fund again this year. We were awarded the rehabilitation and placemaking grant. So that's gonna go into this project. I was anticipating that the project could go over 2 fiscal years. From hearing from Progressive, that may not be likely. They may wrap up in June. Meaning that we cannot use funds from next fiscal year. We do have a solid fund balance. So if we were not able to utilize any funds for next fiscal year, we would have to look to our fund balance to cover the missing piece, which is about $105,000, which is not a lot when you look at the fund balance. Right now I am, monitoring revenues and expenditures. I know that there's some expenditures that are just not gonna materialize this year. And we are ahead in revenues in a few cost centers, so that is good. And it may be the case that if revenues continue the way that they're looking and we can subtract those expenditures, that we might not have to use the fund balance at all. I think that's a distinct possibility. The other thing to consider is that there are some allocations in the budget, such as HVAC relocation, bad soils, temporary weather protection. These are totaling about $50,000. Some of those, I talked to Progressive, they don't feel like we need. We did do soil testing, there's nothing of concern that came up. There is an option that we just don't go without air conditioning for a period of time when it's already gonna be chilly, it's gonna be in spring. And we may not need that weather protection, so that's some savings. We also have $100,000 of construction contingency that we may not utilize all of that, so. Worst case scenario, we'd have to use $105,000 out of the fund balance. But the way that things are looking, that will probably be a lower number or not, we won't have to utilize the fund balance at all. I didn't include any of the renderings in the packet, but speaking to Jackie, we do have a sample of what the material will be for the canopy. And that color that's attached to it is the underbelly of the canopy, so it's that kind of natural wood that you had seen in the rendering, with a similar color, but that's the actual material.
Are you still planning on painting the brick?
Absolutely.
Right, okay, so that would be that color?
No, it's gonna be a darker color. I can show you that color. I don't have it on me right now.
Samples on the corner of the.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Stain.
Oh, it's stained.
Oh, it's stained?
Oh.
It looks like paint, but it's stained.
Yeah, I just couldn't
Yeah.
remember what that was, so.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be nice. I
Yeah,
like
and
that.
then the brick detail will also change. Thank you, Sam. So we won't have those rounded edges anymore, they'll be squared off. It'll be painted, that will be the material, and then this includes all the site work too. So, you know, the construction of a new parking lot. We're gonna do a sidewalk in front of the building. We're able to utilize, oh, that's another thing, so out of that 1.501 number, 30,000 of that is gonna come from the road fund because it's going towards sidewalk that's constructed in the right of way. There is some bad news. I was talking to the road commission, they are still not comfortable with what they're calling landscape. I forgot the word that they use, it's not bleeding, that's the word I kind of want to use today, but like kind of sprawling out into the right of way. And they were viewing the on-street parking as our landscape plan spilling out onto the right of way, and so they will not allow us to have the off-street parking, and it was kind of a change, and I mean, this is not to knock them, because I think it was something that they really had to process. But right now, they're not seeing, they're not comfortable with allowing it just yet. I think that it's still, I don't think it's a no forever, but it's a no for right now. So we would have about 20 spots in the back, but we would not have the 5 additional spots on the road. That's not to say people can't park on the road, and that is not to say that, you know, when it comes to events, we can't give better direction in terms of parking at like the Dollar General. And keep in mind with the landscape plan, we will have a sidewalk going all the way to their parking lot and a path that comes right into our facility. So it will be, there will be like more ease in moving from that parking lot to this parking lot without having to connect them through some sort of vehicular passageway. So it's a bummer that we're not gonna be able to get those spots. If they ever change their mind, I don't see a reason why this board couldn't approve, and we do have the plans for it. But right now, they're not comfortable with the 5 spots on the road. So that's. Yeah, so.
Okay, thank you. This needs a motion, oh,
I'd like to move to approve an amendment to the design build agreement between Saugatuck Township and Progressive SBR LLC, stipulating that Saugatuck Township will pay $1,541,459.45 to Progressive SBR LLC for all work and the designer builder's fees associated with the Saugatuck Township Hall exterior and site renovation project.
I'll support.
motion by Helmrich, support by Marcy. Is there any further discussion? None. This is a voice.
You can do roll call, technically it would just be a voice, but it's a lot of money, so you might want to do roll.
Okay, Helmrich,
Yes.
Marcy.
Yes.
Aldrich. Yes. Osmond, yes. Motion carries 4-0. And the next item on our agenda is the bond service engagement letter. Daniel, do you want to give a brief overview of that? We did talk about it pretty extensively at previous meeting.
Yes, this just defines the scope of work that Benzinski and Company will be doing for Saugatuck Township and supporting us issuing a bond for capital improvements for the fire district. The fire district did engage Benzinski, and this is their preferred vendor, and I would say that Andy Campbell, who works with Benzinski, is also our preferred vendor. We've had a lot of success with them, and Andy Campbell did support us through our other bond issuance for the water main extension on 66th Street. So we have a high level of comfort with working with Andy. We've had success working with Andy and Benzinski. And this is just outlining what their services will be as we go forward. There is a fee, it's $28,500, but keep in mind that that fee is not due until the bond issuance occurs. And that fee is rolled into the bond that will be paid through the fire district millage. So there is no expenditure to the township.
So started already, right? I mean, have we done the notice yet, or is this starting?
We've done the notice,
Done the-
so
Just wanna make sure.
Where are we on the 40, is it 45?
it's 45 days, we have about 2 more weeks.
2 more weeks?
And we have received
Nothing.
nothing. I will say, like I put in my manager report, we did actually receive quite a bit of positive coverage.
That counts too.
Yeah, Greg Janik did some great interviews. I did an interview for, oh shoot, what's her name? D something on one of the local NPR channels. So yeah, a lot of great coverage about it. So we were able to get that information out to folks. We did put the notice on our website. We don't have to, but we did. We put the notice in the Holland Sentinel, which is required. We also put it in the commercial record. So we have been making that information available. There was a write-up at the commercial record, write-up at the Holland Sentinel. So the information is out to the public, but we have not received any pushback from the public yet.
So this is just so that he handles it when this happens.
That is
And
correct.
and the 45 days, right?
Yep, that is 45 days.
Well, I would like to move to approve a engagement letter from the Kaczynski and Company for support with 2026 capital improvement bond.
I'll support.
Motion by Aldrich, support by Helmut. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Thank you. And piano, bluegrass planting proposal.
Yeah, so I was recently called out to Saugatuck Park to check out the bluff with the drain office and some of the local neighbors. There is some evidence of erosion on the bluff due to groundwater runoff. And I think it was very apparent to us that whatever seeding had been done after, as part of the restoration to the bluff base after the repair to the county drain that's located there did not take. So we have like bald patches of sand and clay, which is just allowing, you know, the water to take that away and gouge that bluff base. So I did consult with our engineer, I consulted with the landscape architect for the project. There were a few options that were thrown out on the high end, and this might be something that we might consider later on. There's something called geo-webbing, so it's essentially, it kind of looks like, so it's essentially like a webbing product that goes on the whole face of the bluff. And it's got these recessed pockets that you filled with dirt, and then you cover the whole thing, and in the pockets, you can plant vegetation such as dune grass. This was described as like the Cadillac of solutions. Speaking with a professional who plants dune grass, his take was that dune grass would take on the site, even with the steepness of the bluff base. That the soil present would be great for dune grass to grow. And in his experience, the geo-webbing actually hinders the spreading of the dune grass roots. So he would not recommend it. I discussed this with Prine, I discussed this with Viridis. They both are confident that dune grass would be a great solution to what's the word I'm looking for? To be able to kind of like
Help heal.
help heal the bluff and keep that soil in place and prevent any continued damage from groundwater runoff. So I've got an estimate from Old Path Industries. This is all that they do is plant dune grass. So it includes weeding the site and then planting 22,000 dune grass sprigs. This is a great time to plant dune grass. It doesn't have to be watered. They can do it this fall. I think it also would be a great addition to all of the improvements that are occurring at Sundown. The park's gonna be beautiful and you're gonna look over the edge and see this like exposed bluff face. So this would, I think, you know, not only stabilize the site, reduce the impacts of groundwater runoff, be something that's beautiful to look at, but it's also another demonstration project for people who are visiting the park, visiting the area, and also maybe to inspire some of the neighbors there to consider replanting bluffs with dune grass as an option for stabilizing their bluff. It's not gonna work for everybody, but it is an option that people should consider other than hard harboring. So I think all around, not only is it addressing our issue, but it's something to show the public that this is something that you can do and that we can share that with them.
So are the people that did the roundabout, is it a different group or
Nope,
the
that's-
same group? Okay. And they did a good job on that, that looks like it's doing well.
Yeah, it is doing well. Yeah, they did do a good job.
Mm,
Yeah, and it's amazing to see them actually do it. I mean, they do it
It
like,
is,
it's
yeah,
just like,
I
yeah,
know, they're really fast.
yeah, really. So yeah, so this is gonna be $16,200 to do this. We do have drain expenses coming out of the road fund per the language of the millage. I would say that this is definitely drain related maintenance, as this is where the county drain comes out, and erosion previously resulted in a very expensive repair to that county drain. So that could go to that. We did get our bill for the Warnock drain. And we budgeted probably double what the bill actually was, so there is still a substantial amount of money, more than what this would cost in that fund, so. I would say that like it makes sense that, you know, it would go to drain maintenance and it's not going to be an increase to the budget.
So it's drain maintenance, but it's in the road fund.
Right, because per the road fund, the language allows us to cover drain expenses. Which somebody way before me made that decision and that was very smart of them.
Otherwise, we'd ask county drain commission to help us out, but we don't have to.
No.
That's good news.
Yeah, and if we did, then this is the challenge, if we did, we'd ultimately get a bill too, because they would charge everyone in the drain district and we're a party at large.
Right.
So we would get the bill anyway if we insisted, and it would take a much longer time
Yeah.
to do it. So I'm sure the drain office will be happy that if this board decides to do it, I'm sure they will be happy.
Okay.
Would you like a motion?
I looked at it.
I will move to approve the proposal from OPI for new grass planting at Sundown Park.
I'll support.
Motion by Marcy, support by Aldrich. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. The next item on our agenda is future topics. Daniel, nothing?
Nothing. I do have, well, something, well, no, I got nothing.
Sure, you got
Yeah.
the picture.
New title for a show,
Yeah.
something, nothing.
Okay, and we'll move on then to public comments. Is there anybody here that would like to make any public comments? Anybody on Zoom?
If anyone on Zoom would like to speak, please raise your hand or unmute yourself or make it known. Going once. Going twice.
Okay, so we're gonna close the public comment section of the meeting and move on to board member comments. You want to start, Brenda?
You know, as long as Brad's here, I did call, I was trying to remember I called you not too long ago.
Yep.
And I just want to thank you. It turns out it didn't work, that particular veterans benefit, but at least I got where I needed to go. And I have been trying so hard to find the right people to talk to. So I just appreciate you doing it. Just answering my questions, calling me right back, that's great.
Always. Most of the people I talk to, like, very rarely can I answer or fix their problem immediately, but I can usually point them in the right direction
Yes, yeah.
to where they need to go.
Yeah.
So,
And with something, it's really hard to find that direction.
I'm learning the same
Yeah, that you are. Yeah.
thing, so.
Thank you.
John?
Yeah, it's a two-part comment, and they're both related to Kalamazoo Lake Sewer and Water Authority. First of all, I'd like to thank in her absence, the incredible work that our supervisor did. She reluctantly became our representative on Cal Lake, and she learned a lot really quickly. We all know how smart she is.
Yes.
But she did an incredible job with the issues there, the transition. And along at her side was our current, our new representative, our manager, DeFranco. And I was just surprised, I didn't, maybe it was in there, I didn't notice it in your manager's report. But I don't know if you want to say it, or if we can both say it, just to fill people in if they don't know that the interim manager, or is it interim director?
Administrator.
Interim administrator started earlier this week.
He started last week, he started
Right.
last week on Wednesday.
Right. Do you want to speak to?
You can say it, no, it is my.
Oh, it is, okay, I'm fine.
I don't know if I
just
said
wanna
his name though in the report.
Right.
But you can say, yeah,
Yeah, I'm blanking on his name.
Howard Fink.
Howard Fink is there, and is there a term to the agreement?
There is not a term to the agreement, but we imagine that, so we did two things. The board voted to appoint Howard Fink, who is the former manager of Park Township, as the interim administrator for Cal Lake. And then we also voted to hire, now I'm blanking on the name,
Frank Walsh.
Frank Walsh,
Oh, right.
Municipal Services.
right.
To do a hiring search for a full-time administrator for Cal Lake. Howard Fink is also eligible to apply for the full-time position, but we imagine that search and the hiring process will take us about 3 months, but Cal Lake could not wait 3 months. So we are very grateful that Howard, with all of his experience, is coming in and helping to manage that authority. While we look for a full-time person, he may be the full-time person, but we are gonna do that search. And we're also incredibly grateful to a lot of the staff at Cal Lake, including Kaz Bike, who, if you ever run into him, shake his hand, thank him. Has done an incredible job holding down the fort, so, yeah.
No, and I just want to point out that Howard Fink, the interim administrator, as you said, he was township manager of Park Township, which is a lot larger than we are. But he was also on the board of the Howland County DPW.
They're the Board of Public Works.
Which is a lot bigger, and has once, and is still highly thought of and recommended by a friend and colleague in Laketown Township, their supervisors.
Mhm.
I think we're in a good place. So again, well, thank Abby, well, thank you.
Thank you. And Abby really set that up.
Yeah.
I should have, I can't take credit for that.
Well, it's beautiful.
That's okay.
I don't have any comments at this time.
I can't think of anything at this
Time
time.
either. Just echo what our previous two said.
Right.
Okay, I think that then we are ready to adjourn.
7:08.
Oh.
All right. Thank you, thanks for coming.